Welcome back to Coffee and Conversation. And as you can see, I have company. He was asleep in the bedroom until I turned the camera off. Now, the camera turns on silently, so I don't even know how he knew it was happening. Camera turns on, he's right here, waiting to get into my lap. Now, my bad boy and I are having issues lately because the cat food wars are back in force again. And Audie has been uncooperative. He wants to eat the dry cat food. We've had this discussion before. So you know that even though he likes his dry cat food, he gets sick on it. And I get him very fancy, very expensive little gooey purees and whatever. And usually he will be marginally cooperative, in the hopes that I'm going to give him the dry cat food back. But then after a while, he just trenches in. It's like, I don't want this. I want my dry cat food back. Yes, I know it makes me sick. I love throwing up on your pillow. So give me my dry cat food back. So that's what's been going on. Now, I feel sorry for him because I know that the dry cat food is irritating his tummy. I have a new plan that I am trying now, and this was a suggestion from a viewer who said maybe you should elevate his bowl because her vet had said, they practically have to eat upside down. And I thought about that and said, well, I imagine this is how they eat out in the wild, but still, I'm willing to try it. What's the worst that will happen? Absolutely nothing. Because as it stands, he is objecting to everything I feed him. So what, he's going to object more? No. How could he? So I am going to try to raise his bowl and see if that helps a little. I tried, it's time for us to go. I tried putting his food on paper plates. I tried changing the bowls. I don't know. But anyway, that's what's going on with my naughty boy. We did get a chance to see him, and now I am going to go over and let him out because it's a gorgeous sunny day, and he doesn't deserve the treat of going outside because he's been naughty. But I'm going to let him have it anyway. So I will be right back. So I let Audie out. He didn't want to stay out very long. It's sunny, but it's still a little cold. So he's back in with me. I'm going to put you down. Huh? Yes. We'll see how long that lasts. Okay, before we get into the topic I wanted to cover on this video, that lasted 4 seconds. Before we get into the topic I wanted to cover on this video, I thought I would do a couple of sort of channel maintenance notices, and I want to start with the giveaways. They are still going on. We are currently doing handbag giveaways. These are all taking place over on the suemeangels Facebook page, and the angels are arranging the giveaways. I don't even know how it works. I stay out of that end of it. As I say, this is also that you have some sense of security knowing that everything that goes on is completely above board. I let the angels know what we're giving away. They arrange the actual giveaways. They tell me who to send the stuff to, and that's how it works. And there's another layer of protection in this too. Because very often, if channels are known to do giveaways on YouTube, people will write in, they're not people, they are the scum of the earth, they are scammers, will write in the comments section, oh, you won a prize. They have done this on my channel in the past, told people, oh, you won a prize, just send me money. Which is why I always say, if you have to pay for it, it's not a giveaway. A giveaway should be free, and our giveaways are free. So if anybody comes to you in the comments section or in any other way, Usually they just approach you in the comments section. Anybody approaches you and says, you won, just report them, because that's not how it works. And that's why it's completely separated from the YouTube channel, so that we have as much protection every step of the way. That's what it's all about. All right, so please go over to the suemeangels Facebook page. Check it out. Like I said, we're doing handbags now. We're going to get onto jewelry and all kinds of other stuff. Clothing items, because I get a lot of this stuff for free from Amazon. And so I am more than willing to share. All right. A week ago, I did some videos about organizing dresser drawers. And I wanted to do a quick follow-up on that, because I did an actual physical follow-up on my drawer organizing. Once I got everything sorted, I realized that the drawer paper, the shelf lining paper, this is going to go on all day. The shelf lining paper in the drawers was old and it was really looking a bit tattered. So I decided to replace it. I went on Amazon, and you can get lining paper almost anywhere. Let me just show you what I got, because this is not dresser drawer lining paper. It is sort of kitchen shelf lining paper. It has a nice kind of burlappy, rustic homespun fabric look, but in fact, it's mostly plastic. I tried to rip this stuff, well, not the paper I was using, but the scraps. Took it in my hands, tried to rip it, I couldn't. This stuff is plastic coated, waterproof. I can scrub it with soap and water and it'll come clean. And I got enough to do all 3 of my dresser drawers, and the total cost was $10. Well, $9.99, but might as well say $10. So it's a very cheap fix. Now, I know a lot of you are probably not familiar with lining drawers with shelf paper. It's not common these days. It hasn't been common for at least 50 years. 100 years ago, when dressers were, well, when they lined the drawers, the wood they would use for the interior of the drawers would not be finished. It wouldn't be varnished. They'd sand it down. They'd try to make it presentable, but it wouldn't be stained and varnished and made all pretty. And that's when shelving paper, drawer liner paper, became popular as a way to ensure that, you could put your clothing in there. It wouldn't pick up splinters or anything like that. I've used that stuff all my life. My grandmother is the one who got me hooked on it. It was old-fashioned even in my mother's day. But the reason I wanted to share this with you is at like $3 and change per drawer. What it does is it creates a much more attractive drawer surface. And when your drawer looks nice, you get a lot more satisfaction out of organizing it, keeping it tidy. The whole experience is, as the fashionistas would say, elevated. And I hate that word. But it is true. It does, in fact, elevate the look of your dresser drawer. And when you're organizing anything, a cabinet, a dresser, whatever, if you can bring it up just that one extra notch, not only does it give you more of a sense of satisfaction for the cleaning and organizing job you've done, but it incentivizes. That's another word I don't like. I remember when that was turned into a verb in the 1980s. Frustrating. But it does. It encourages you to do more. You see the results. You say to yourself, oh, look how great this looks. I can't wait to get on to the next drawer. So I did want to share that with you, because that was sort of the next step for me. All my drawers are beautifully organized. They have washable shelf paper on them, which means if for some reason I decide I'm going to go, I don't know, eat pancakes while I'm cleaning out my dresser drawer and I spill, I can clean up the mess. The truth is, I don't think I've ever spilled anything in a dresser drawer in my entire life. But if I do, I got washable paper for it. All right, so what did I want to talk about? Well, I was watching YouTube videos. And no, it wasn't cat videos. It wasn't cat videos. I'm not cheating on you, baby. But I probably was watching some cat videos, but the one that caught my attention that I wanted to talk about because it sparked this whole topic for me was a video from a YouTuber. I'm not going to mention his name because I'm not going to treat him kindly in this video. He's got over 1 million subscribers, and this is the only video I have ever seen of his, and all I can say is not impressed. He made a video about what he considered to be the major downsides, the cons of solo traveling. And as I was listening to that, I realized very quickly that most of the negatives he was setting forth when it came to solo traveling were simply negatives associated with living alone. Nothing to do with traveling. He was saying, you don't have anybody to talk to. Well, if you live alone, you don't have anybody to talk to. You don't have anyone to share the experience with. Well, if you live alone, you don't have anyone to share your experiences with. You don't have anybody to help you if you get into trouble. Same thing if you live alone. And I thought, this is a person who has a spouse, I'm assuming a spouse, and children, so he's part of a family. And he probably finds solo living to be very alien to his own experience. So consequently, solo traveling is going to be just as strange for him, perhaps even more so. And when I looked at that, I just said to myself, is it really that way? Out in the world, is this how people who live alone are generally perceived? As lonely, as having no one to talk to, as having no one to share their positive experiences with, as having no one to help them. You just have to take selfies because no one will take a picture for you. Is that what the perception is? And that's why I thought we would talk about it. However, before we talk about that, I did want to hit one more thing that he mentioned. And I will tell you why I want to do this. Years ago, in fact, when I was a teenager, so that tells you how many years ago it was, I used to do classes for seniors on safe traveling. The amazing thing about the 1960s is you could be 16 years old and they'd let you teach classes. It was weird. But and my classes were actually very popular. I would teach them at senior centers and other kinds of community centers, churches, synagogues, how to travel safely for seniors. And so when I hear people getting misinformation, I have this automatic desire to put the brakes on it. So there was one thing that he said that I really need to call out. He said that it is more expensive to travel alone than to travel with someone else. And that is not true. It's simply not true. So let's start with the obvious. When you travel alone, you have one airline ticket, you have one train ticket. Just for starters, you're saving money right there. But what he was referring to, because he did acknowledge that things like air travel, train travel are, it's twice the cost for twice as many people, because those are services that are charged by the head. One person, one ticket, one price. And 2 tickets, double the price, 3 tickets, triple the price. That's the way that industry works. But then he said, but it's not true with hotel rooms, because you get a hotel room and you have to pay that room cost, whether you have 1, 2, 3, 4 people in it. Yes and no. Here's where he's wrong. Now, for starters, hotels are not services that charge by the head. So a hotel has a certain fixed cost, and this is true of cruise ships as well. So any of you who are considering cruising, just keep this in mind. It has a certain fixed cost. Turning the lights on in the morning engages an entire set of financial obligations. Doesn't matter if it's a hotel, if it's a cruise ship, if it's a grocery store. You unlock that door in the morning and there is a certain fixed cost to keeping your enterprise open for business for that day. Back in the 80s, when I was in marketing school, and yes, I actually did, I minored in marketing, but I also got a master's degree in it. So yes, studied that in the 80s. We used to refer to it as the nut, your fixed costs. What does it cost you to open your doors in the morning? Because that's part of the economics of running a business. You have to know, what do you have to pay if you don't sell a thing, if no one stays in your hotel, if the stove in your restaurant breaks and you can't serve a single meal? What are your basic operating costs? What is the nut? Hotels have that. Cruise ships have that. Basically, anybody who's putting a roof over your head, that's the model they use. And that will be a certain fixed cost. And then for one person, they will throw a little bit of profit on it. And if it's 2 people, they might throw a little bit more. In some cases, they'll just go right up to 2 people. If the room holds 2, they don't care if 1 person is staying in it. They usually don't care, by the way, if 3 people are staying in it. You have a fixed cost for your room. And yeah, you can stick another person in there, for free, but that doesn't alter the fact that the second person is staying for free. The first person is not paying half that double occupancy price, because that's not the model. That's not how it works, because it is based on fixed costs plus, and that will be services. Perhaps they'll charge a little extra for the extra linen they have to bring in, for perhaps extra room service, something like that. They'll add a little more. And by the way, many hotels have single rooms. Many cruise lines have solo cabins. And they are not going to be half the cost of a double occupancy room or a double occupancy cabin. They're not, because they're all starting out with that very large percentage of fixed costs they have to cover. It's when we get in here to that profit section up at the top where you might see it very neatly divided. 1 person, 2 people. And as long as you keep that model in mind, you realize you're not paying more. You're just not. The idea that you can cram someone extra into your room, it's like, think of it as somebody giving you a freebie, a buy one, get one sale. It doesn't mean the first one should be half price. So that is like this logical fallacy that is very frustrating. But I did want to point that out simply because I had come across it. No, it is not more expensive for 1 person to travel. It might look that way if you apply the wrong model. Remember, it's not a train, it's not an airline. The hotel industry is working on that fixed cost plus model. So there you go. That's why you just can't make those comparisons. So now we're going to walk away from my opinion of this guy's lack of math skills and lack of fundamental knowledge of basic economics. What it did point out to me was that people have a lot of attitudes about people who live alone. So let me start with, because I just want to talk about my own experiences. I've never lived anyone else's life, so I can't say what their experience is. I live alone. Well, I mean, with Audie, obviously. I love it. I've never, ever in my entire life been as happy as I am living alone. And I haven't always lived alone. I grew up, well, I didn't completely grow up in chaos. I am the oldest of 7 children. So when I was a child, I had this house full of siblings, but I also spent about half my time with my grandmother and my great aunt. They were 2 elderly women. So chaos, serenity. I knew by the time I was 7 or 8 years old that I really liked living alone. And in my adult life, I mean, I've been married twice. I spent most of my adult life married to somebody. In general, it was somebody I didn't like very much. But point is, did spend most of my adult life married. Was I happy? Well, the truth is, I thought I was. But as I look back on it now and realize the benefits of being alone, I have to say, oh no, that was just a pale reflection of how happy I was capable of being. There are tremendous benefits to living alone. And going back to that YouTuber's, disadvantages of solo traveling, I am not troubled if I don't have someone to talk to. Not in the least. I can go for days, weeks. I've never gone weeks on end, but I'm sure I could, because I can go for days on end, not talking to anybody but myself, my cat. I don't need that. That's not something I require. I do not get lonely. I am perfectly fine. Exactly. Well, no. Okay. Perfectly fine is an understatement. I am deliriously freaking happy with my life the way it is. I am not lonely. Would I be unhappy if I had an experience I couldn't share with someone? No, not at all. I experience things alone anyway. We all do. You go to a museum with someone, and frankly, unless your companion at the museum is an art professor, in general, you're going to form your opinion, they're going to form their opinion, and that's where it stops. Are you really going to allow your opinion to be colored by the random opinion of someone you happen to be with? That's why I say, unless it's an art professor. If it's an art professor, your opinion should be colored by their opinion, hopefully. But we all experience life, even when we're together. Our experiences are unique and individual. Do we need someone with us to validate the experience? I don't think so. I don't. I think that this YouTuber was simply basing his views on his own life experience. He has a family. His family makes him happy. His happiness comes from sharing experiences with his family. Mine don't. Mine come from the experience itself. Mine will come from whatever it is I am getting independently out of the experience. Things like, when you are alone, you don't have someone to help you if you need help. And that is very true. Is that enough of a downside to convince me I need to move someone into my space? No, not at all. There have been rare occasions when I have thought, gee, wouldn't it be nice to have somebody else? My idea of the rare occasion is every now and then I will say, I have to take out the trash. Wouldn't it be nice if I had somebody else who could take this over for a change? And that thought lasts not even long enough for me to finish the thought in my head, because then I think, yeah, but it means someone else in my space. And then I shoot that thought down immediately. But sure, it's nice to have somebody's help, but then you have all the baggage that goes with that. And one of the reasons that I want to throw this out is I know I am not the only one who is going into later life alone. I know some of you are alone as well. And I think we are in the most enviable situation. I do not feel this is a situation that deserves pity or judgment from people who are with their families. It's like, oh, bless your heart, if you're with your family and you like that, good for you. But my life is not a negative or a pile of negatives simply because it's not to your taste. I do not have someone to rely on if I need help. I look at that as an opportunity to stretch and grow, to become as independent as I possibly can. I put a great deal of value on that. If I am out in the community, I take care of myself, because I am not anybody's poor blind house pet. And so for me, it cuts very close to home, because I don't want people to look at me, see the white cane, and say, well, there's somebody who needs to be taken care of. Oh, no, honey, I can take care of myself. I can take care of you, too. I just choose not to. The fact is that we are not people to be marginalized. We are not people to be pitied. We are, oh, dare I say, because I'm going to sound just like a mirror image of this YouTuber. We are people to be envied, because I don't have to do somebody else's laundry. I don't have to put my wants and needs behind somebody else's. When I look at spending money, for example, I can spend it on me or my cat, who is ungrateful and will not eat the fancy cat food I buy him. But I don't have to look at this and say, well, I really did want to get a new coat, but my husband really needs new shoes this month. I don't have to do that. And of course I don't. The truth is, when I was married, that was my approach to spending. I might look at something and say, well, I'd like to get this or that, but my spouse needs something else. And I would put that ahead of my own wants and needs. So the fact is, instead of finding myself to be a pile of negative circumstances, lonely and no one to share things with and no one to help me when I need it. No, I'm perfectly capable of keeping myself company. I am perfectly capable of enjoying an experience by myself without having to get into an argument with someone else about what's wrong with that painting. No, I get to make up my own mind about what's wrong with that painting. I don't have to worry about what somebody else is going to want to do. If I go on vacation, I get to do what I want to do. If I want to hit every museum in town, I get to do it. I don't have to stop for lunch because someone else wants to. I don't have to stop for lunch at a Thai restaurant, which is terrifying for a spice wimp like me. Because, yeah, a little bit of pepper is about all I can manage. But, you start putting curry on things and I get nervous. I get to eat where I want to eat. I get to do what I want to do. And I would say that makes me the one in the enviable situation. And it certainly does not cost me more to travel alone than it would cost me to travel with someone else. Because if I'm sharing a bedroom with someone, that's probably someone who is sharing my living space. And someone who is sharing my living space is probably sharing my bank account. So that's 2 airline tickets I have to pay for. That's one hotel room, yes, but it's 2 meals at every restaurant, etc., etc. So no, the common sense and the basic fundamental mathematics tells me that it's more expensive. So I did want to throw that out, mostly because it just triggered that thing in the back of my head that says, why is it not okay to be alone? Why is it if you live by yourself, everybody thinks, you're lonely, or in my case, that you're a cat lady? People think I'm a cat lady, Audie. I just thought you should know that. You're like some crazy old cat lady. And yes, I probably am some crazy old cat lady, but it's not simply because I'm living alone. I am not lonely. I do not lack for people with whom I can engage. I do not consider myself in any way deprived. The idea that I have to fend for myself, that I don't have that safety net of relying on another person, is fundamentally good for me because it forces me to be as independent as I possibly can. And that is in my best interest. That allows me to stretch, to grow, to just self-actualize. So I thought I would share that with you. And yes, it wasn't as exciting as watching a cat video, but quite frankly, this has been nothing but a cat video because, come on up, say hi, let them see your face, because we have had nothing but a bad cat with us for the entire video. And, I did get him to eat something in between the first section of the video that I filmed, and then we show the intro, and then I come back. But in between those two, when I took off my sweatshirt because it was getting hot, I did let him out. I did feed him some nice, smushy cat food that doesn't disagree with his tummy. So he really is, he's not starving. There's plenty of food for him. So don't believe him when he tells you that I am starving him to death because I won't give him that dry cat food that makes him sick. Because I know you're telling people that. I know, because you are a little tattletale. All right, that is what I have for you today. I am looking forward to hearing from you in the comments. Do you live alone? Do you enjoy it? I was this close to saying, do you enjoy it as much as I do? But I'm sure you don't, because I love it. I'm just like overflowing with joy because I am by myself. But that's because I spent the largest part of my life with other people who didn't like it. So, is this your experience as well? Are you living alone and unhappy with it? Do you want to get into more about this? Because I assure you, I am not just saying this stuff for a video. This is my reality. I am just overcome with joy because I am by myself. This is where I want to be. This is what I want to be doing. And if you are, for whatever reason, compelled to live alone and don't like it, maybe we should talk about it, because maybe I can share some tips that have, I was about to say, gotten me through the bad times, but I don't really have bad times because I really do like it so much, but have gotten me through periods of adjustment when it's been hard to get used to this. Even though I've loved it, it hasn't always been an easy adjustment to go from, sharing your bed with someone to sleeping alone. So we can talk about this. So absolutely, if you want to, let me know in the comments. And if you are living with other people and you're happy doing it, let us know in the comments. We do not want to exclude you. This is not, this is not about your choices being bad and my choices being good. This is about the right we all have to make our choices in a judgment-free zone. So we are going to take a look at a slideshow on the way out. Thank you for being with us. I hope to see you all again next time. And in the meanwhile, have a terrific day.